How about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the RedOUT Podcast.
Welcome in to another RedOUT Podcast. I'm Jake.
Hey, Devin in the house, and for the first time since we ended our season last year, we have J-Dog in the house.
A comeback season. I survived another summer of Edmonson County. Let's go.
I feel that is like such a badge of honor. Like, I survived Edmonson County. It's like, what did you survive? Like, banjos and...
Deliverance is basically what I'm hearing. Deliverance, so...
I would say I survived bad internet connection, but honestly, it's just as bad in Franklin, so I can't say anything.
Man, y'all are on the 65 corridor. Should y'all have fiber or something by now?
Oh, the city has fiber, but do I have fiber personally yet? No, but that's hopefully coming soon.
There you go, there you go.
Way.
He's going to have to raise his prices on his music lessons, so it's all good.
Yeah, inflation, it's real.
To pay for that excellent internet service.
That's what it is. He's got to get that high speed. So, we're coming at you tonight. We are all in different places. J-Dog in Franklin, and Jake is in Nashville, and I am I'm the solo flying person in the RedOUT Studios up here in Ronnieville. So, like always, winners and losers this week. Loser, I guess the Dallas Cowboys, with Dak Prescott asking for $40 million.
So I saw a news article where somebody was refuting that he actually asked for that. The people close to the team were saying that's a lie. I don't know if it's true or not, but that was the last thing I saw on it. That was not true.
My thing is with the usually NFL players do not talk about each other if they're talking about money. So if there's a contract dispute or anything like that. And that came from Jared Lorenzen when R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yes, R.I.P. Lefty, Hefty Lefty.
Hefty Lefty, the Pillsbury Throwboy. But that came from him, and there was a contract dispute, and I cannot remember whose it was, but they were asking him if he blamed his teammate, and he was like, "Nah, bro." He's like, "We don't talk about money issues, and basically, if you can get it, you go and get it." So I was like, "Hey." Wow, that's a different take than I would have expected. I mean, you'd think, it's a team sport, but I guess when it comes down to it, you got to get what you got to get.
Bro, I'm here to tell you, I mean, for some of these guys now, I don't get the holdouts from, like, training camp, right? I think you should do your negotiating in the off-season, and if it doesn't go where you want, you either leave the team, right, renege on your contract and go, or show up to practice, like, holdout crap.
Well, I can understand that, though, because sitting out of training camp, though, puts more pressure on the manager, the coach, the owners, because you've already signed on for that. Yeah, you got to get is what you can get. Do I think
$40 million for Dak Prescott, though? I mean, come on.
That's what I was about to say.
$40 million?
Yeah.
$40 million.
Now, I'm sorry. I don't think he's done a lot since his first year, but he's not the caliber. Go ahead.
To be fair, a lot of that was injury. To be fair, like, he did have some injury issues. Now, granted, that you take that into consideration when you're talking about what he's worth, right?
Yeah, and I mean
that's fair. Like you said, his first season he was healthy and he was kind of a machine.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you look at what's around him, when you look at Zeke Elliott, when you look at the offensive line they have, when you look at the defense they have, you didn't need a stellar quarterback. A game manager can work.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Like, if you're gonna ask for $40 million, like, I'm just trying to think, like, is Drew Brees getting that kind of? Oh, no, here's a young guy. Like, is Pat Mahomes gonna ask for $40 million? Because he's worth more than Dak Prescott is. Let's be real here. Like, he's a young quarterback and like a Super Bowl level competitor. Like, he's worth more than Dak Prescott, but $40 million. I mean, if he can get it, more power to him. But if I was a Cowboy, I'd be like, awesome.
Okay, so just pulled this up. This is 2019. Let me see if it's got the up.
Like
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So, highest paid quarterback as of 2020 will be from Atlanta, Matt Ryan, followed by Ben Roethlisberger. They're both sitting at about $33.5 million. That's
Contract.
That's salary cap value. Cash is about 20.5 for Matt and 21 mil for Roethlisberger. And then number 3, you got Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean those are guys that have proven the mission. Now, granted,
well, as a Packers fan, I feel like he's kind of getting to the Brett Favre era, where towards the end, where it was like, of course he doesn't have anything either, so.
Yeah, but I guess on that end, like, when was the last time they were great? Was it 2011?
2012, I think.
2012? I can't remember because I just seem to recall that he has had, again, it's been an injury issue. Like, he was such a transcendent talent when he started.
Well, he broke his collarbone.
Right, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when he was like a transcendent talent, and he was very, very good, and he was in the playoffs, like all that stuff. But then got hurt, had some injury issues, and just has not seemed to take them anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Of course, he's lost a lot of his targets too. He lost Jordy Nelson. He's lost.
Is Randall Cobb still on the team?
Randall Cobb is with the Cowboys now.
Yeah, and so what? They got like
there's 2
Adams?
targets gone. Yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you who the next target would be. I mean,
I think it's Devontae Allen, to be honest with you, and he was very good when Jordy left and it went to Cobb being your 1. Devontae Adams was really, really good at 2,
But I mean, really.
You're right.
But I mean, even when Jordy was there, Cobb was not the best. I mean, he was the deep threat. But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was always a deep threat. You had to watch him over the top, but Jordy was your bread and butter.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, I do not think Dak Prescott is in the caliber as far as that goes.
See, here's what I hope happens. I hope that he refuses to play until they give him $40 million. That way Mike White moves up on the depth chart.
There you go.
That's right.
There we go.
Number 2, Mike White. Bless his heart, he did not look good in the preseason.
That would be hilarious.
There's still 3 more preseason games. Hopefully it'll look better.
There we go.
Yeah.
So another loser for me, if you're watching Hard Knocks, you get to see this guy a lot, is Antonio Brown and his helmet issue.
Oh my
the losers are the Oakland Raiders.
Can we talk about that for a minute? Holy crap.
Yeah, but seriously, though, the Oakland Raiders are like yearly losers. I mean...
Dude, seriously, he just doesn't want to play for the Raiders. Let's be real.
Yeah,
I mean... if you're going to say that you will not play until you get to use your old helmet...
Which is ridiculous,
like,
yes. Yes,
I
mean, completely ridiculous. Yeah, and of course he is a superstar too, but you never know with some of these guys what they're thinking.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'd give him the helmet.
Yeah, I mean, well, as long as the NFL signed off on it, yeah, I'd be fine with it. I'd be like, cool, bro, yeah, if you want to use that junky thing from 1982, you go for it. I don't care. I don't know if that's what it was, but yeah.
A little leather cap with, like, cotton in the side, like that.
That was from his
Honestly,
early 20s.
I would respect anyone that would do that. I would respect anyone, except Tom Brady. Even if he wore that kind of helmet, I still would not respect him, but anyone besides Tom Brady.
If Tom Brady wore that helmet, he would be dead. Because
he's
made of glass.
I'm pretty sure he makes Giselle wear that helmet in the bedroom. I'm just saying, but okay. Jake, do you have a loser?
You bet your ass I have a loser. So I don't know if y'all have been paying attention to the local state sports scene, but yesterday a WDRB, excellent reporters that they are, article came out that said that David Grissom, who was part of the board of trustees for the University of Louisville, but David Grissom testified about a lawsuit. He was in a deposition. So for those of you who don't know, when you're in a deposition, these are early on their pre-trial interviews where attorneys from both sides can question a witness, and that witness has to testify under oath and answer questions supposedly, honestly, or they're in trouble with perjury, right?
Yeah, I mean, typically, sorry to cut you off. Typically, like, if you
right.
watch, like, the first 48 or something, you see those people
Right.
doing depositions, they're being recorded. But go ahead, buddy, sorry.
It's typically recorded, at least if it's not video, it's typed up by somebody, the court will send somebody. It's all on the record, and for the most part, these things they're set up way in advance. You're prepared for this. Your attorney will talk to you about, what you should expect and how to tell the truth and all those things. So he gets in there, and I cannot recall what the suit was for. I haven't had a chance to go back and read the article or listen because I've been doing some training down here in Nashville. He said on the record in response to an interrogatory from this opposing attorney that President Ramsey, when Grissom came on to the University of Louisville Board of Trustees when they did that first purge, and you'll remember that the governor tried to like slam that in his face. Oh, good God.
Sorry.
Is someone going to stab me with a lightsaber? What is
Yes.
happening?
Sorry, phone ringing. No, you're good.
Lock the door. Holy crap. So anyway, I was rudely interrupted. For sure. Good God. But anyways, he said that President Ramsey told him that a former member of the University of Louisville Board of Trustees was the cash provider and paid off some of the strippers in Strippergate.
Yes, that was... once you started talking about that, I went, oh my God.
Oh my God. Are you serious? Now, if you listen, I encourage all of you to go read the articles from WDRB, to listen to ESPN Louisville, whatever, to get the audio, because the audio is what sells this. Because you can tell that he was not... First off, his poor attorney was not prepared for that question. And rightfully so, because whatever the lawsuit was, it wasn't about that at all. But she asked this question, and Dave just was always like... And in fact, I want to say the quote was, did they ever tell you something that you would have to keep from the Board of Trustees? And it was like, yeah, that a former Board of Trustee member paid the strippers in Strippergate. And she was like, wait, what? As she began digging, and his poor attorney was like, his attorney was like, I don't know anything about them strippers or dancers. Can we take a break? And just so you guys know, if you ever listen to the recording of the deposition, you hear the opposing attorney, the attorney who's witnessed and just going to ask the question, can we take a break? It means, holy crap, I wasn't prepared for that question. I need to talk to my client before he says something stupid that's going to get him sent to jail.
Yes.
Not that Griffin's done anything wrong, because I don't know if he has. He wasn't the one paying strippers. He wasn't doing anything weird, but he knew about it. And so then the attorney asked him later, she says, in the next question, she said, well, can you tell me the name? And he says, on the record, I'm not going to tell you that. And she said, and this is exactly right. Well, you don't get to make that decision. We're under oath. If I ask you a question, you have to answer it honestly. And he backtracks and he gets to where he says, well, he didn't actually tell me the name. He just said somebody. And you can just tell by the audio. It sounds, maybe he's telling the truth. We can never know. Or we might know at some point. But he seems like he's backtracking. And he's like, well, I'm 81 years old. Don't beat up on me and all this other stuff. It's like, dude, you just dropped a bombshell. So the University of Louisville right now, I feel so sorry for Chris Mack and the guys on that team, because they just had to deal with David Grissom screwing up for like the 900th time. You got it. University of Louisville is my absolute loser for this week.
Yeah, that's hard to come back from. I
think it's hilarious.
I do too,
Jared.
I do too. Yeah, it's a bad situation up there, and you just got to see what the NCAA comes up with, because that guy is going to be brought up on. The NCAA is going to be like, hey, man, I need you to come talk to our lawyers and see what's going on, okay?
Now, the good thing about that is the NCAA doesn't have subpoena power. So
they don't? Okay.
They do not have subpoena power. So, Devin, let's assume for a moment that you inherited $200 million and you wanted to turn WKU into the Pony Express from the late 80s and early 90s, and you were going to violate NCAA rules. Let's assume for a moment that you would be so, such a bad fella. All of a sudden we start getting a bunch of 5-star quarterbacks and defensive linemen. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, all I'm saying is that when we go to Bridgestone, hopefully, like when we play Louisville, I think David Grissom.
There you go.
David Grissom.
That's what you should cheer.
Yes.
If you're going, that's absolutely what you should cheer.
Yes.
I will wear my FBI hat and everything too. I don't even care.
To our listeners, please, you have to start this chant when you go. Okay.
David Grissom.
Yes. Please do not forget this.
Trustees.
Oh my gosh.
The possibilities are endless.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. So, go ahead, bud.
This is awful.
No, I mean this is awful for Louisville, but it's hilarious. I'm sorry. You gotta laugh at this as far as I'm.
How stupid do you have to be as a board of trustee member to hand cash over? Like, you know what you're doing is wrong, and you're a high profile individual, millionaire kind of guy. What in the world? That is so beneath.
Yes.
It's so stupid.
Yes, completely agree. So I guess what we should be looking forward to is football season coming up. We will be playing Louisville, the third game of the year, so that'll be on the 14th of September.
Down in Nashville at the Coliseum, right?
Yeah. We'll be playing at the Coliseum. Of course, it's supposed to be a home game, but you know how that goes.
Hey, man, we got a good, strong Nashville base of fans. I fully expect Louisville to have more fans, but the top should show out.
Well, I mean, it's all going to be red, so
Yeah, either way, it's gonna be red.
So it's going to be fine.
That's fair.
So, as we did, was released, I think, this morning at 9 a.m., the RedOUT Towel Rack article talking about the QB battle, who we think should be the next quarterback at Western. Since, obviously, no real quarterback has stood out as far as camp goes.
Yeah.
So, Jared, as always, went with the freakishly Madden-made Kavaris Thomas.
Very much so.
Yes. He seriously looks like the guy from Madden. I'm just saying. When you made your own character, he is just that guy.
It's like 99 speed, 99 arm strength.
He's like 7 foot tall and 300 pounds. Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
Absolutely.
Hey, honestly, I was so excited when I saw him come out against Charlotte. But we'll just have to see as far as the quarterback battle goes. Jake and I actually chose somebody else, and you'll have to read in the article to see who we chose. Spoiler alert, Davis Shan... Gosh, did I screw up his name? It is Davis, isn't it?
No, Davis Shan.
That is right. It did not sound right when I just said that. But yes, I chose him, and Ross and Matt chose someone else, Stephen Duncan. But you'll have to see their reasoning. I'm just saying that Shanley has a better completion rating than Thomas, who has a 0. I'm just saying.
That's because he literally got like 2 pass attempts for the entire season.
He has 1
maybe
attempt, but okay.
Maybe.
Jared, defend your choice, Jared. Like,
it's
why
just
Kavaris
hindsight's
Thomas?
2020 because, I mean, Sanford, I mean, the whole Charlotte game, what you were talking about, Devin, I mean, Thomas looked pretty good. I mean, he got a rushing touchdown and everything because I saw Sanford apparently knew how to use him for it. Was just to be like, all right, he's a big guy, just let him run it up the gut. Which, I mean, he got a touchdown, but it's like, listen, he's getting some momentum. Just let him play the rest of the game because that was an absolute dumpster fire of a game to begin with. Like getting routed by one of the cellar dwellers of the Conference USA as far as football is concerned.
Come on now.
I will say, Charlotte was a game. It was a throwaway game as far as Western's concerned because even my boy Davis Shanley threw 2 interceptions that game. That game was awful.
Threw all year.
Yeah, the only 2. But, I mean, not to get into making fun of character or anything, but I do completely believe that he faked an injury so Duncan could get in. Just saying. This is completely satirical, so don't comment. But, it's whatever.
Whatever.
No comments. Just go with it, people. It's fine. It's fine.
Just go with it. Just accept it.
Just accept it. Now, I will say there is some concern, and I don't think it's warranted as of this point in the year, that the offense sucks. Just to put it bluntly.
Let me tell you, here's the reason why it's warranted. Because your head coach told you that they suck.
Well,
If
okay.
your head coach, now he didn't say we suck because Coach Helton cannot come on, the TV. He can't get on the radio and say, "Hey, we suck ass. We're real bad at, half of the game. We're terrible. We're an absolute dumpster fire. We're going to win 3 games this year." He can't say that. But when he's looking out there, he's
okay. First off,
when your coach tells you that we were bad, like we watched that defense last year. We watched a defense that could barely stop any. Hell, they couldn't stop Charlotte, for God's sakes. When that defense can't stop them, now I'm not saying our defense isn't going to be better. I'm not saying they're not going to be the strongest unit of the team because I fully expect them to be, and I expect them to be better under another year of Clayton White and having that defensive continuity and some really good grad transfers. However, they're not the reason that the offense played terrible in the scrimmage. The offense played terrible in the scrimmage because they had a garbage coach for 2 years that didn't know his butt from a hole in the ground and didn't know how to run an offense. And now they're trying to figure out a Titan Helson offense, which is probably a pass-heavy quasi-Braum 2.0 offense, and they're used to being a run-first crew.
Well, here's the thing, too. First off, the run game was never around during Sanford's era.
Yeah, no, it was absolute garbage. He wanted to do it, but it sucked play.
Yeah, it never opened up. But the thing is with offenses and defenses, offenses develop slower because you have to get the timing down with stuff. Wide receivers have to get routes, quarterbacks got to get passes off. It's like a car. You got to get the timing right. If the timing's off, then the car ain't going to run.
Yeah,
and that's the
but
same
I think
with
the
offenses.
biggest issue that we're going to have is something that Coach Helton talked about in an interview recently, is talking about how the offensive line is still struggling really bad. And it doesn't matter who you got at quarterback. If your offensive line is only giving you like maybe 3 seconds to do something in the pocket, then it's going to be bad. Really bad.
FYI, just for your information, college quarterbacks are only supposed to have 4 seconds. So, as long as they're doing 3 right now, I'm okay. If they start getting up to 4 by the time...
Well, I just randomly said that. I don't know what the actual number is. Probably closer to like 1.5.
I don't know.
Yeah, when we get to August 29th, then we'll talk. August 29th, we'll talk. Go ahead.
Seriously, Steven Duncan got sacked, 14 times last year? Davis Shanley got sacked 10 times last year. When you start looking at those numbers, that's not an offensive line so much as it's a wet napkin as far as defending from the defensive line.
Yeah, I could...
Hey, listen, I'm a Dolphins fan. I know what a terrible offensive line looks like. I've had to deal with it the past 10 years of my life, so I trust me. I mean, I think that we still have some good players. Like, Seth Jost is someone that's supposed to be really good. And Miles Pate coming back. Both of them are going to be really good, but I mean, as far as a cohesive kind of unit, I don't know. And that's also why I think we need a mobile quarterback too, is that if you're going to have a collapsing pocket on every drop back that you have, you need somebody who's going to be able to maybe scramble and get something out of it instead of just take a sack.
Or you need somebody that is built like a literal brick house.
Thomas.
Yes,
Thomas.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I mean...
I'm with you on that.
Literally, I mean, okay, but it's the same issue we had last year. How many times did we have offensive linemen get hurt? The older guys would get hurt. The younger guys would have to step up. We would have freshman offensive linemen on there, which, by the way, is never a good thing. When I mean, you can talk about wide receivers or running backs coming in who are freshmen, but you cannot talk about O-line.
Offensive line takes forever to develop.
It's more of a strength thing than actually knowing the game, and that's the biggest part.
It's just different.
Yeah,
it's absolutely.
You've got to build. You got to build yourself up. Yes. Yeah, I mean, you got to build the guys up. There's no way that some of these young guys can go in and go against juniors if they're freshmen. The juniors have the more experience. They've got the strength. They can usually beat those younger guys. There may be a handful of exceptions, but that's just what's going to happen. But I would expect, yes, the offense is going to be slow off the ball. But I think as far as the beginning of the season goes, but I think once we get to maybe ODU or Army, I think they could be clicking on, full cylinders. We'll see how it goes. I mean, you just got to, kind of get behind Helton a little bit here. Let's give him a chance.
Well, absolutely.
I'm not ready to burn him at the stake by any means because he hadn't even coached a game yet. So, it's
I love the fact that he actually said that the offense wasn't looking very good. He wasn't trying to sugarcoat anything. And he was just kind of straight up honest, be like, all right, I mean, our quarterbacks haven't looked very good. That's something that we're working on. And our offense, I mean, we just got to get things going because, I mean, season's going to be here pretty soon.
Yep.
And obviously we know not to sleep on the FCS teams anymore after last season.
Jesus Christ.
No.
Let me tell you something. If we lose to the Purple Bears of Central Arkansas, I mean,
We
I
said
don't
this
know what to
last
do
year,
with it.
Jake. We
Well,
said
you
that
know
last
what?
year with the
I
Black
just
Bears
know.
in
You know
Maine.
what? Here's the deal: is I didn't think we were going to lose to Maine. Now,
Who
I told you
did?
guys, we've said this a million. I've said this a million times. The first game of the previous era, EKU versus Western at Western, won 34-17. I was in the student section, and I said, "Y'all, we got a problem because we've got the team and the personnel to run these guys into the ground, and we only won 34-17. I said that was a problem, but I did not, even after the crappy finish at Georgia State, have a firm belief that we would lose to an FCS team, even if they're an FCS leading, competing team. I don't care. You have the scholarships we do. Ain't no reason to lose to them. And we went out and we go 3 touchdowns up, start pounding them into the ground, and then all of a sudden it looks like we don't know what sport we're playing anymore. It's like we're trying to play the cross out there. Like, what the hell are you doing?
I mean, honestly, last year was a disaster. And even in my little write up in the article, I am so ready for this season to start, so I can just forget last season. That is my
Dude,
honest
for real,
opinion.
I
Yeah,
don't even
same. I
care.
feel that.
I just need this to be a new season. I
Yep.
don't even care.
We need to forget the old. I mean, honestly, I'd love to go down to Nashville and thump the Louisville Board of Regents. I mean, Cardinals, and it's whatever. But seriously, though, I mean, I think FIU's going to be a tough team coming up. First week of September. I think Central Arkansas?
Central Arkansas.
I know they're the Purple Bears, but which, by the way, there are more people in Arkansas than there are actual Purple Bears. So, just a fun fact for you all.
See, their team's actually just going to be 30 to 50 feral hogs.
Well, last year,
Dude, we would lose to 30 to 50 feral hogs. Have you seen those porkers? They are
Dude.
terrible.
Yeah.
Google that. Look that up on YouTube. That's crazy to watch those videos.
That's a fun hour to kill.
My fun fact is my fun fact last year was that there are more black bears in Maine than there were black people, and I guess that came back to bite me.
I guess they're like, no, thou shalt not talk about our black bears.
Yeah, I'm guessing some black bears dressed up in the Maine football team, I guess. But I mean, there was so much that went wrong in that game too. Can't even.
But
I mean, go ahead.
Like expectations for this year. That's kind of what we're getting at, right? Like Devin, what is your? We talked about the quarterback. We talked about the offense is lacking and takes longer to develop, and you're absolutely right. They totally do. So what is your, particularly because of the switch of scheme, right? Defense has had some cohesion. It's your same team, it's your same staff. Whereas offense is total upheaval. So it's almost the big opposite of the former regime. So, what are reasonable expectations? Because I saw and I retweeted it on the RedOUT Twitter account. So y'all go check it out. You can vote in it. Maybe you can bring some reason to it because 60% of the people are hiring a kite. I don't understand how they're getting it. Where some guys said, seriously, they set the win total. So some guys were like, you know what? Over under 5.5 wins. And 67% when I voted said in that Twitter poll said they expected 6 or more wins.
Wow.
Year. And I was like, okay, I want you. That's why I asked you guys in the Discord. I want you guys to go. You guys that are voting for 6 or more wins, and if you're listening, God bless you. Go find me those 6 wins because I don't know where they are. I just don't know. Have our personnel changed or developed that much in the off season? Is Coach Helton this savant who's going to just magically take a porous offensive line and make us pass for 500 yards and 6 touchdowns a game? Because I don't know where they are.
Okay. From what I've heard, I'll read Ross's comment. He said Central Arkansas, Charlotte, MTSU, ODU, UAB, and FAU. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's 6. I don't see
I don't
FAU.
know about UAB. That's going to be a stretch, in my opinion.
I think FAU's a stretch too. I mean, I think FIU's going to be a tough one.
That's like best case scenario. The offensive line looks really good. Whoever we have at quarterback stays healthy and looks really solid. Plus having a really, really good defense. So, like I had a little more optimism, but after hearing Coach Shelton's interview, I'm actually like, well, I probably shouldn't expect too much. Like I think 4 to 5 wins would honestly be a good step forward because I mean you're not going to be able to turn things around overnight. And I just love the fact that he was honest about it too, because I mean that's not going to keep me from going to any games and anything. But I mean, you just got to trust the process. So yeah,
I am as an optimist, I'd like to see 7, but that's really optimistic. Yeah, I'm telling you that's really optimistic. But as a realist, I would say 5. I could see 5 wins. That's not quite 500. That's not quite bowl eligible. But, you know, it's a good year after a 3-9 season. I think we could knock off a few guys. I think we can knock off a few. You know, I don't think we'll beat Army. Sorry.
No, they were a 10-win team last year.
They were on the verge of being nationally ranked last season, too, I think.
Yeah.
And they still are probably going to return a lot of their team.
Team of the country or something like that.
Yeah, but also, and I've talked about this before, like with Navy and some of these others. These guys, like, practice at, like, 4 a.m., and then at 6 a.m. they have PT, and they do more conditioning. So they are, like, out the wazoo in shape.
Yeah, you got some dudes that can run you in the ground. Now, granted, if the defensive line, or they have a game plan, Army does not throw the football. They run a triple option. Right?
Yeah.
They're going to try to run for 600 yards.
Yep.
So if our defensive line can hold up, I mean, I'm not saying you got to put 11 in the box, but I'm saying you put 9. Then you stand a chance.
Well, the thing is, too, with the triple option, they're trying to get it out on the edge as quick as they can. So you have to have... The thing is, with triple option, too, you have to have somebody to cover the dive, somebody's got to cover quarterback, and somebody's got to cover the pitch man. And as long as those 3 things are done every play, you're fine. You don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. Watch him play out of the shotgun the whole game, just because.
Yep, they could play out of the shotgun.
They've changed 100 years of Army strategy.
Yep, I mean
they're going to play out of shotgun. Wouldn't that be some wild stuff?
Yes, that would. The thing with me is though, with the with Army Navy, I mean they have little things that they like to change that will just change the entire spectrum as far as the game goes. Like Navy, they'll throw 1 time a game. But it's guaranteed a touchdown because everybody's in the box.
Whenever I feel sad and useless, at least I remember I'm not a wide receiver for Navy or Army or something.
That's right, man.
That is so funny,
right.
Yes.
Might as well just be a tight end and block the whole game.
There you go, yeah. That's awesome.
Put them hands up, Jay.
There you go.
Flop.
Yeah. Jared, what would your expectation be for this season? Where are your wins coming from, and what are your thoughts thus far?
I think we shouldn't expect anything more than 5.
Okay.
Because I think that's a very realistic number to go with. I would probably say closer to maybe 4. But, I mean, it just depends on how soon things start to click for everybody. And just with all these young guys getting acclimated to being able to play at this level is something that's going to be hard to. And plus, I mean, it is still kind of a tough schedule. I mean, we'll still have Louisville. I mean, they're still ACC. They have decent recruits, supposedly. We'll see. I mean, same with Arkansas, SEC school. I mean, you don't want to try to sleep on any of those teams, even though they sucked really bad last year. But, I mean, it's just a tough schedule. It's a lot of young players. It's a new coach. I think when you put all of that together, I think that 4 to 5 wins is very reasonable.
So, what is the basement? What is our gathered intelligence here? What are we thinking the basement for wins would be this year?
4.
3.
Jared's got 3.
No.
I don't want to go 3-9 again, but
no, I think you're right though. I think basement could be 3. Last year, basement, Jake and I said 4, and we went 3. So it was like, damn, Sanford, you just dug a cellar. I mean, come on, man.
And that's the deal, right? We're not talking about massive personnel turnover. We did have some losses. Do not get me wrong, but we're talking about further development of this team. We have multiple players on preseason watch lists, whether that's some dudes in the defense, like an offensive line players on there. Kyle Fortenberry's on a preseason watch list. We've got players, like comparatively, like in conference USA, like this is not a not talented squad. Okay, this is not an untalented squad. If you're telling me He went 3-9 last year with a coach that did not know how to run an offense. Utah State, bless your heart. Like, more power to you. I hope he's like wide receivers or something dumb because you're about to tank horribly in the offensive realm. Like I'm keeping an eye on that because, by the way, Utah State was a really hotshot offense last year. It was like really good. So if they see a dramatic downturn in their offensive production because Sanford's at the helm, or at least has a say in what happens during a game, you know exactly what happens. But you're telling me that team, right? Similar quarterbacks are the same. Your main targets, except for a tight end, are the same. Like, if you're telling me that's all the same, and everybody else is going to make a step forward like they should, and we got 3 wins last year, then there is absolutely no reason on my end to change the expectation from 4 wins, because you do have a shakeup in your head coach. You have a shakeup in your offensive mentality, and you do lose big thumbs. So, okay, fine. Less than 4 wins is still a disappointing season. Now, obviously, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, he needs a minute. But if we get into this season and we see bonehead calls and we see the same crap we saw with Sanford just on the other end of the spectrum, right? I don't know. I'm not going to write them off, but I'm not going to change my opinion that 4 wins is the basement. Like, this team absolutely has the ability to get 5 or 6 wins. You're going to get, or gonna, I shouldn't say gonna, that's not fair. Or at least not based on the history of what happened last year. You need to get your FCS win. You beat Charlotte. There's your 2. You figure MTSU's lost most of their offense. There's 3. And you figure an FAU or somebody else, maybe, I don't know.
You might could get a Charlotte. I'll say a Charlotte.
And see, another thing that we got to think of too is that Sanford was still really close to winning a bunch more games last season. I mean, the main game was blown at the last second. Same with Old Dominion.
Marshall.
And I think there's a couple. Yeah, Marshall. I mean, there was a bunch of games that the Western had a really good shot of winning that just got completely blown. If you take those 3 wins and add it to the total for last year, they would have been bowl eligible. So I mean, it's just if we win those 50-50 games, that's going to be the biggest thing.
My biggest takeaway this year will be, do the guys play smart football? If we're at 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 8, do they run the 9-yard or the whatever, do they go for the first down, or do they continue running the same play because they're scared not to do it? That's my thing. We need smart football. Even, in the Marshall game, a lot of people put that on Stephen Duncan. He fumbled it, yes, but he shouldn't have been put in that position. There was plenty of opportunities in that game that they could have done better.
He's not calling the plays. Duncan's not calling the plays.
No.
He's doing what he's told.
Exactly. He's being told by coaches, this is the play that'll win us the game, and, it wasn't. It sounds bad, but that's, what I'm saying? He's not going to do it.
No, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, Karen, my wife and I were watching a TV show one night, and the guy kept saying, "You know what I mean? You know what I mean?"
I mean.
Yeah. So. No regrets.
Not even one letter.
Yeah, not even one.
Or like South Park with Butters. Do you know what I am saying?
I loved that. That is the best. I guess. Since we'll talk about another sport that's a little farther off, but just as depressing right now, is basketball.
I mean, is it though? Is it as depressing?
Well, I mean, we are continuing the Devin domination that I was right and Bassie came back. But other than that,
somehow you kept with your take and you were right. So I respect that.
I mean, see, y'all doubt my what would you even call that? Like ESPN? But y'all doubt me. But hey, I came through. But I guess with Bassie coming back, we had some bad news. We've lost some players. Omer, Nelson, Smith, Banton, and Mustafa. Which, by the way, I will save all of our listeners some time. Do not go watch the new live-action Lion King. Speaking of Mufasa.
Yeah, why would you?
Of course, I didn't pay to see it. We pirated it, but it was still awful.
Allegedly, Devin cannot confirm nor deny if he engaged in illegal pirating activity, just for the record.
Yeah, that's what my lawyer just said. But
I got you, bro.
But Donald Glover was good. I thought he was good. I liked him.
I heard that Timon and Pumbaa were the only redeemable qualities.
Timon and Pumbaa were good. I did enjoy them.
I heard they were the only thing that made that movie not an absolute dumpster fire.
No, I hated the writers. I hated Beyonce. James Earl Jones had no heart in this movie like he did the first one.
Well, he's 900 years old. What do you want from James Earl Jones at this point?
I wanted some freaking heart. That's what I wanted. I wanted when he started yelling at Simba for leading Nala into that trap that he, nobody messes with your dad. That was the best part. But no, did we get that?
Okay,
no.
So Jared, I have to ask. So Jared's our music man. Jared is our resident musician and musical specialist. I'm going to give you a hot take that I want you to react to, okay? And I want you to agree, because you're a proper musician, all right?
Mm-hmm. All right, let's
Beyonce, Queen Bey, is the most overrated musician currently alive right now.
Yeah, you're right. I feel that.
Okay,
it's so overrated.
Thank you.
Well,
Because
okay.
holy crap. Seriously, guys.
So, it's funny you say that. Kara and I have been watching, it's called All or Nothing on Amazon Prime. It's pretty good. So far, they're covering the Carolina Panthers for last year. And Cam Newton, which he's hilarious. First episode, first 3 minutes, so this isn't really spoilers. He's asking everybody if Beyonce is considered oldie. Is she an oldie?
What?
Yeah, is Beyonce considered an oldie? Classical, classic rock kind of style oldie, or you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying now?
If they say yes, I'm jumping out this window right now. Are you kidding me?
Actually, they were like, it depends on the song, and I agree with that.
No. Okay, what singles are we talking about? Are they more than 20 years old?
Well, yeah, I'm sure some of her TLC stuff or whatever was old as all get out, but honestly, I couldn't tell.
It has to be at least 30 years. 30 years is where I start doing oldie. Classic.
Dude, are you kidding me? Some of the music we listened to as kids is probably considered oldies. Jared, do you consider NSYNC old?
Oh
I mean,
man, I try not to
old,
think
but
about
not
that. I remember when NSYNC was a thing when I was 6.
Exactly. This is old, Jake. This is old.
Oh my god. When he was 6.
See, I think y'all are old. That's the problem.
Yes. Yeah, we're old.
Oh my god.
Like I told you, Jake, that's old.
You know what? This window outside of my hotel room, it actually just leads to another landing. So if I were to jump out of it, it would essentially be climbing up something. But I'm just saying, man, that's terrible. I'm 6 years old. My God.
I told you, he makes me feel so old every time I talk to Jared, but it's so much fun.
It is good.
We do have a lot of guys transferring. Not going to really speculate as far as why they're leaving. But there is a little light at the end of the tunnel. It's not confirmed, but Matt Horton might be returning.
Yes, there is another big guy, because if they didn't have him, then they would have Cozart, and he's 6'8", more of kind of a power forward. But I mean,
yes,
yeah, because he'd be getting beat up a lot if he tried playing the 5 for any substantial amount of time. So that's probably best.
I mean, he's tall, but he's a string bean.
Yes, and of course, this is not confirmed. We're just going off of.
We're just seeing rumors bounce around.
Yes, we're seeing rumors bounce around. And, I'm hoping he does, though, Matt Horton. And, what was it? Was it Jake Omer last year? Everybody was like, I wish he would play more.
Yeah.
There's still people that are like, I miss Jake Omer. You miss not playing and 0.5 points a game? Okay, fine. But I have got love in my heart for unathletic white guards. Do not get me wrong. They're what we all would aspire to be. Okay?
Well, they're firecrackers, yeah.
Has so much grit.
Firecrackers.
They're gym
So
rats.
much grit. Yeah, gym rats. They high basketball IQ, which, by the way, he didn't have, so it's bad.
For those of you who don't know, that's from a show called The League. And typically
white slot receivers.
Yes, and when they're talking about different racial profiles of athletes, or when commentators are talking about racial, they use key words to describe the person.
So it's like we're not going to say that he's a white slot receiver.
Yeah,
He's slow. we're gonna say he's a real gym. He's a firecracker. It's like, dude,
he's a gym rat.
He's a small, unathletic white guard. Okay?
Yes.
He has one thing. He can shoot the three when he gets open on the wing. That's what we bring him in for. And if Homer had been able to do that consistently, he'd still be on this team.
Yeah. So my speculation, do you believe that these guys transferring had anything to do with Bassie?
I think potentially it did, just because, I mean, I would look for Bassie to play a lot more minutes next season, too, because the thing that I'm most excited for is that we saw how Bassie looked last season. He looked really solid, but this season he's going to have a fully healthy knee. At least he should. So I think that's going to make a huge difference as far as, like, his production and being able to feel more comfortable running up and down the court, because there were so many times where he would go down and it looks like he was going to be down for a while, especially the game at Marshall. I was scared to death when he hit knees with somebody and he had to go to the locker room. But I'm hoping with that potentially healed, like, Bassie's going to be fresh. He's going to be playing possibly like 35 minutes a game. I mean, who knows how long Stansbury will want him in there if he's going to get on a roll. Because I'll go ahead and tell you what the offense will probably look like a little bit. As far as the way the roster's turned out, is that it's going to be very guard heavy. He could potentially have like 3 like regular guards, so like a small forward who can shoot really well, and then Bassie in the center. Like, that's going to be able to open up a lot of things. Is that we'll have better 3-point shooters. We're adding Carson Williams finally. He's going to be really solid. Him, Cameron Justice, who's transferring from IUPUI, Kenny Cooper, he's coming from Lipscomb. He still hasn't been technically cleared yet. But looking at adding all of these good 3-point shooting guys, is that they can't just like triple team Bassie in the center and expect whoever's on the perimeter to miss whatever shot they're taking. We're going to have a lot more threats. And, of course, with Hollingsworth and Savage and Anderson all coming back too, having another year of development, I think that it's going to look pretty solid, like whatever Stansbury decides to run. He may run with some small ball stuff, but we're going to have a lot of good shooters, and that should open up the paint a little more for Bassie on the inside. So I'm interested to see if that's what it looks like. I hope so.
I agree. Go ahead, sir, Jake.
Jared, well, no, you're fine. Jared, to kind of play off that, you were talking about the returning starters, and honest to God, I'm so excited. Not only because Bassie returned, which, Devin, I don't know how you fit through any doors anymore.
Because of my big head, yes.
The size of the freaking Goodyear blimp right now.
My head looks like Mr. Mackey's, okay?
Yeah, seriously, like Mr. Mackey when he like smoked pot that one time.
Yes.
Like his head like becomes a balloon. Like, yeah, seriously. God, that's another old. Like, how old is that South Park episode? Like 2000, 2001?
Couldn't even tell you. Yeah, that's,
anyway,
yeah.
But Jay, just like, I'm very excited for the returning starters. I mean, I really am. We've got lots of juniors. We've got some depth at the guard position. It's an experience there. But to talk about one of those, I've said this on every platform. Tay Hollingsworth is my favorite player on the team. He was wearing my favorite number when he was wearing 13. Like, he's a Kentucky kid. Like, he's everything I want out of a guard on my team at Western, right? As a fan and not a WKU media member. And but I will say that I was saddened last year because he had such an excellent freshman season, setting freshman scoring records, and I mean, doing the pop of that Western Kentucky jersey at Oklahoma State and shaking dudes like. He looks like a transcendent guy. And then he kind of took a step back last year. And I think part of that was probably Bassie being on the team and that scoring thing being different. I think part of it was J.A. taking more of an attacking role on the offense. But do you think, is it fair to expect Tavion Hollingsworth to take that big step forward as a junior and kind of become the leader that I think everybody kind of expected him to be after his freshman season, but that maybe he hasn't really fulfilled fully that role yet?
I'll step in here, I guess. I think he could. I mean, he was recruited by Kentucky, which was exciting when he came in. I think there's a lot of potential there. Not to jump back to my boy, but I think this is Bassie's year. This has got to be his year.
It is.
This is his make or break year. He's coming back just to get to the league. And it's like I said last year, and it's like I preached from the pulpit last year, and maybe he heard my words, maybe he didn't. That's fine. But
he felt the spirit.
Yes, he could feel as some of the old football coaches at Western used to say, the juice. The juice was passing through. But basically, this is your year to make $20 million or whatever it is. Whatever his signing bonus will be for the NBA. Whatever you're working towards.
A bunch of money.
Yes, he's going to be making boatloads. A lot more than he was selling chickens. But still, and on the other side of the coin, I think that this is a hot seat year for Stans.
Oh, absolutely.
If we don't get to a dance this year,
sure.
if we don't go dancing this year, I think he's in trouble. I mean, he just had 6 players transfer.
We've gotten to the Conference USA title game twice and lost both times. Both of them hurt just as bad, especially the one against Marshall. That really sucked. Like, a third year, you can't get to the Conference USA tournament and lose. I mean, we got to get a Conference USA title. It's been the elusive title that Western hasn't gotten since they've joined the Conference USA. They've gotten football, they've gotten women's basketball, they've gotten just about every other major sport except men's basketball. So it needs to happen. It needs to happen this year. And I think we potentially could be a really good seed as well. Hopefully not like a 16 seed like it was with Harper, good Lord. But at least he's still able to get us there. So I hope that that's something that Stansberry can finally get off of him and be able to get back into the tournament.
So let me jump in. Let me jump in real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
So Jared, you talk a lot with Todd, my cousin. So do you think that making it to the Conference USA tournament every year is satisfactory for the AD to keep Stans, or is that an issue?
Wait, making it to the conference tournament or making it to the NCAA tournament?
Not making it necessarily into the conference tournament, but making it to the title game. Because didn't he make it
to the finals?
Yeah, making it to the finals in Conference USA. Is that a saving grace, or is that a?
Well, I mean, I would probably say that, it's okay to get to the final. Obviously, you want to be able to have that push to be able to make the NCAA tournament. And looking at the team that we had a couple of years ago, Justin Johnson's senior year, that was a 27-win team that ended up not making not 27 wins at the time of the tournament, but you know what I mean. But that was a solid team that didn't get in, of course. At large for Conference USA is basically something that would be impossible to get. If Middle didn't get it that one year that they were really good, I don't know what it would take for anybody to get it this year especially. But, possibly, I'm not entirely sure how he views that. But getting to the NCAA tournament is something that I would consider, especially with this upcoming season. It's been too long of a dry spell, and it's something that needs to happen.
And it's been almost 10 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Not 10 years. I think 2013. 2013 was the last.
2013, 7 years this year.
Yeah, it'll be 6, 7, yeah.
So my question was, and we can kind of, continuing on the basketball front. So the schedule was released a little while ago, even though Western apparently was one of the last to actually release their full schedule. We were trying to piece it together from Rhode Island's schedule and Louisville's schedule and all the other announcements that came before it. But I was trying to look through the schedule because we were just talking about at-large consideration and the type of seed that Western might get. And last year, for me, was the year, had they not peed down their leg against teams like Troy, that you would have seen the ability to get an at-large. You're talking about wins against Wisconsin and St. Mary's and that sort of thing, if you could have got something to go on against Belmont. But you look at this year, and the schedule's not quite as friendly, talking about, it's easier, but talking about opportunities to get quadrant 1 and 2 if you're looking at the net rankings, which is what the NCAA is currently using. If you don't understand them, go look them up. I'm not going to spoon feed it to you. But we have some decent opportunities. I don't want to say to get an at-large because I don't think that's possible unless we start talking about less than 5 losses by the end of the season, sort of thing.
Yeah,
but you've got
I agree with that.
Go ahead, Jake.
But you have opportunities, right? So the net rankings aren't really accurate. Nobody's rankings are accurate yet. I really like Kim Palm and Sagarin. I was looking at some of the SAG numbers. That sounds great. SAG numbers.
Yep.
I was looking at some of the Sagarin numbers started at the end of last season, and you start talking about opportunities to get some really good wins. So, and this is stuff that I think that could happen. So in the the early season tournament, you got a shot. It's not the Myrtle Beach Invitational. What's the name?
It's the Virgin Islands Paradise Jam.
The Virgin Islands Paradise Jam, right? So you've got a shot to play Cincinnati if you win your first game. That's assuming Illinois State doesn't beat them. So you got Cincy. Cincy last year at the end of the year in the SAG ranks was a top 25 rated team. So you're talking about a quadrant 1 win there. So you got that shot. And honestly, I think that is a shot, right? They lost Cronin to UCLA. I don't know what type of players they return, but you got a shot, right? And then you've got whoever else is on the other side of the bracket. You got Louisville and Bridgestone.
Yeah,
I don't know. You got Louisville and Bridgestone, which, again, is a chance. I think they're going to be able to throw numbers at you, and Jordan Nora is a transcendent, first-round draft pick NBA-style guard. So I don't know if you can get that, but they were ranked 30th in the SAG rank last year. And when Western plays them, they'll very likely be a top 10 team unless they just, crap the bed early on in the season. Then you start looking at Arkansas.
People are saying a lot of good things about Louisville.
Yeah.
Is that what? Yeah,
people are saying a lot of good things about how Louisville's looking. I've seen them be in some people's top 5 preseason already, which is kind of extreme.
Now, I have to say, as somebody who does follow that team a little bit, it's like my second team because I graduated from there. Their recruiting rankings for that freshman class coming in are based more on numbers than not on talent. You've got David Johnson, a guard who they were supposed to get a lot of production out of, being injured early on and probably not playing until December. You've got Aiden Gahan, who they were affectionately calling the Irish Hulk. Apparently doesn't actually know how to play basketball. He's just big and strong, but started playing basketball when he was a teenager, so he's not as developed. Some of the returning starters are really good, but there's always a puncher's chance. I don't see Western winning that game, but they are, again, they're going to be a top 30, top 25 Sagarin net ranking team at that point. That's another option. Arkansas at home, depending on how they do in the early season, they were a top 50 Sagarin team, so you figure net they'll probably be about the same. We get Belmont at home. Now, Belmont, as we all know and hate, has been the thorn in our side every year. For how many years?
Too many.
3 or 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said hundreds, but I don't know. Yeah.
But we have been playing them the last couple of years, and it seems like any progress we make against them, they just shoot the 3 to death and spank us.
And see, the good and bad news with Belmont is that Rick Byrd did retire, so they're incredible coach that they've had there for so many years. He's not going to be there, but they did get Casey Alexander from Lipscomb. Lipscomb has been a program that's been on the rise, looks really solid, and of course, if Kenny Cooper's eligible by that game, he'll obviously know how to read a lot of the stuff that he does. So, yeah, that's another kind of takeaway for that.
Well, of course, it is a first-year – that's a first-year coach, too. So, hands up as far as what's going to happen there. But
that's true. But, after that Belmont game, I went through the rest of the schedule that we know. We know the Conference USA thing at the end of the year. We could have higher or lower net rankings depending. But there's nobody in the top 100 after that. After Belmont, you're talking North Texas 158, Rice 264, UAB 150. The Mutts were 232. Charlotte was 284. Marshall was 142. So there's nobody where you can't make that resume in Conference USA. You just can't do it.
Yeah, you got to run the tables or at least lose maybe 2 games for the entire conference tournament if you want any chance to get an at-large. It's kind of the same measurement for the West Coast Conference and Gonzaga, St. Mary's.
I think, honestly, it sounds bad, but I think we'll drop at least 1 to Marshall.
Probably.
They still have some good players coming in, like that Kinsey that's going to be returning for next year. I think he's going to be a sophomore or something like that. He's going to be pretty solid. Obviously, I'm glad they won't have Elmore anymore. I will not miss that human being in the conference at all.
It sounds like I'm sure Jared doesn't. I'm sure Jared doesn't hate anybody, but it sounds like there is pure disgust when he said that.
Yeah. See, I think our biggest threats are potentially UAB, also UTSA. They're obviously going to be returning Jackson and also Wallace. The two of their average 20 points per game. And I think they got a good big man too.
Their whole scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, basically their entire scoring.
Of course, you can't rule out Old Dominion either. I know that they lost some players, but that Xavier Green that they have on their roster absolutely torched us both the times that we played them towards the end of the season. So, it's just kind of hard to say.
Well, and ODU, too, plays like a baby Virginia style of basketball, so it's just so disgusting. You can't get any run against them. They're going to slow the game down and just...
Which is so boring.
It's such unwatchable basketball.
Yes.
God, guys.
We were up 21-0 in one of the games and still lost.
I know.
I still can't believe how that happened.
Gosh, so depressing.
I know. See, that's just going to be
no.
something I really want to see change for next season. Is that I want to see them clobber some people.
Yes.
Like, I want to see them put their foot on the throttle and not let off of it. Like, especially with all of those abysmal road games that they had, like Indiana State, and of course you mentioned the Troy game at home. That was even worse. Like, I know there was still a lot of youth and everything, but still, good Lord, you got to be able to win those games, because if they would have won those games where they were playing in essentially empty arenas, that could have helped them so much. But, I mean, here we are.
Yep. I mean, you can't change the past, but I agree. Those were cake games that we should have won. The Troy, what was it, it's Missouri State now, isn't it?
Yeah, Missouri State and Indiana State.
Yes. Indiana State, the Sycamores.
Without Larry Bird, mind you. They did not have Larry Bird in that game and we lost.
How do I remember Indiana State Sycamores? Because we played them like 3 or 4 years in a row, and Western played them with I think that was I think Elson was there. No, it was Taggart. It was the first year of Taggart when we got stomped by Indiana State, and former players were in the locker room screaming, and it was crazy. I think Matt and I talked about that somewhat, but it was a crazy environment going through that, and I mean, you wouldn't believe it was really intense. But yes, and actually another fun fact for you, Indiana State, the Sycamores, I signed autographs after the game there, so it's all cool.
What?
Yes.
Wait,
so
what?
the kids, so there was it was right after the game. It was probably the last good year Elson had at Western. We're coming out of the locker room. Of course, everybody's dressed in the same travel gear. We have windbreakers, whatever you call windbreaker pants, and which I think
breakaways on. Wow.
No, they weren't breakaways. They were just like the old Russian style looking things you put on,
Tracksuit,
like a regular. Yeah, it was a tracksuit, and then it was some kind of team shirt. I don't remember, but anyway. So we're walking out of the locker rooms, and all these little kids are gathered because Western's here, I guess. So they're asking for autographs, and all these players are given autographs, and one of the little kids hands me a paper, so I signed it.
So there is a child somewhere.
Yes, with my autograph.
State is that has your autograph like in a shadow box with the Indiana State Sycamores.
Yes.
2009.
And he is very disappointed, is all I'm going to say.
He Googles you and it's like, what the hell?
Yes.
Funeral home?
Yes.
Bless.
Hang on to that
Hey, man,
signature,
you
kid.
made a customer.
Hang on to that signature, kid, one day.
One day.
Yeah, one day.
day.
But hey, I'm not going to turn a kid away. It didn't matter who I was to him. I was just somebody signing an
cares?
autograph. Yeah, exactly.
You're somebody in a fancy tracksuit coming out. You look like a football player. Do it.
Yeah.
What number
What
did
do
you
you
put
do? I'm a
next to it?
placeholder. That's what I do. I hold the football. I make sure laces are out. It's fun.
Jared, I did not sign a number. I signed what did I sign? I put Devin Stewart ATC. Or ATS, I think is what it was. Yeah.
See, I don't know if anybody had the number 69 that year, but you should have done it, man.
Yeah.
69, yeah.
Yeah. And
I
then you
think
go,
somebody probably did have that number at that year, but I don't remember. It's been
Nice.
way too many years. I've slept since then. I could Google that right now, but I'm not going to. So I don't really have anything else.
I don't either. I just want to say we got kind of negative on the basketball team, but I want to end on a positive note that I have extremely high expectations for Bassie's second year, for the returning juniors, for the transfers if Kenny Cooper gets eligible. Like, I have very high expectations for this team. We can get into actual stuff way later when football's down the drain, but not that I'm being negative.
No. I completely agree. I mean,
I feel like in November we're probably going to be like all basketball all the time.
Probably
and just looking
right.
forward to next year, and it's nothing on the football team. That's where they're at right now. But I am very positive. I have high expectations for this basketball season. And like we say, if they don't get to the dance this year, then time to start looking at stands and asking the question, why can't you get them over the hump?
Yep. And I mean, maybe it's the hump, maybe it's just, what is the issue with, the coaching staff that these guys can't get past this,
Yeah, that you don't know how to run a play to throw the ball to Bassey.
And my other issue, my thing is can we get, is there anything that Bassey can do to get more open as far as that goes? That's basically, that was ODU's basic strategy, was just to shut him down. Shut down the inside and just go for it. Just let them shoot it.
Hit a three, so,
Yeah, exactly. There was nothing we could do.
It'll be a lot harder for them to do that this year, though, just judging the type of shooters that we're going to have on this team. So I really, really hope that we can have some consistent people, especially with Carson Williams. Definitely someone that I think is going to make an immediate impact, as well as Cameron Justice as well. Both of them are going to be really, really solid.
Yep.
And also, before we completely move on, though, I'm looking at the schedule. I finally found it. Is that thankfully Western only has like 3 true away games that are a part of the non-conference schedule, but all of them are actually going to be kind of hard. Like at Wright State, like I know that they're a team that no one really ever thinks of, but they were one of the best teams in their conference. I think they went to the tournament last year. Eastern Kentucky, Western better show up for that game or else we'll have some problems, just because that's a good old school OVC rivalry.
Right.
You always want to destroy Eastern, always. And also at Rhode Island, that one's going to be really interesting. Of course, they're a team that's been a consistent NCAA tournament team the past few years. I think they lost their coach recently. Sorry. But no, the Rams are really good.
Left over.
Like, I don't know what kind of seafood Rhode Island has or how expensive it is to get there. I may have to look into that.
Probably like clam chowder.
It's like 4 days before Christmas, so they'll probably have like a foot of snow at that. But hopefully they'll show up to all of those games, because all of them are pretty solid, except Eastern. They suck.
Yeah, screw Eastern.
Completely agree. I grew. Well, of course, when I went to Western back when Jared was like 3. My thing is,
just a gleam in his daddy's eye.
Yeah, Western and Eastern were such hated rivals. Of course, this was towards the end of Western's, FCS run, so I just loathe Eastern. And when people tell me, I'm going to go to Eastern, I'm just like,
why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, why? It's just so.
It's
sad.
like going to MTSU, same thing. Like, why would you go?
Well, I think MTSU is worse than Eastern. As far as
it's in
rivals.
Murfreesboro, so yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go that route tonight. What is your least favorite rival? Let's go from, let's say, don't care rival to least favorite. Just one. Don't care.
Honestly, Louisville. I hate Louisville a lot.
I do too. I loathe Louisville, but as far as Western goes, I don't think it's on the board.
It's not. It's much better. The last time that we played them in Diddle Arena, though, you have to say that was one of the best, feeling of a rivalry game that we've had. With Montrezl Harrell getting kicked out of Diddle Arena, and then Ray Harper and Rick Pitino jawing at each other. I wanted them to start swinging so bad, and I think Stansbury can make up for it with what's his face. So I hope that we have some WWE style stuff going on in Bridgestone when we play them. Just
so you know, that would be the greatest thing ever. That would probably be the only wrestling that'll ever come to Diddle. Sorry, Jake. Which, just for you all, it's kind of an inside joke. Jake and I, when we were kids, wanted to go to the WWF when they came to Diddle, and they canceled. And then Jake tagged me in a post a few weeks ago, I think it was, or months ago.
They did it again.
And they did it again. They scheduled to come to Bowling Green, and then they canceled right away. So, you know what?
Screw you, WWE.
Yeah, and they're not any good anymore. I'm sorry. You lost all the good guys, so...
I will say, the 3 guys, New Day, are very, very funny. I've seen them on some internet shows that I watch. They're very funny. They got some great chips. They're hilarious, but other than that, they can all pound sand. Screw them.
I agree. Louisville would be, I guess, Louisville or UK would be kind of like the, quote, rivalry that I'm just like, MTSU, as far as football goes, would be my big rival. Basketball, I think Marshall's kind of taken over for me.
Mm-hmm.
As far as basketball
Yeah.
goes, not in football,
It's going to be interesting to see how the Marshall game feels with Elmore being gone now, though. I think it's definitely going to lose a little bit, but it's still going to be enough hatred that it'll still be sustainable for future generations.
Do they have any punchable guards on their team anymore?
Probably. If I were to
Punchable.
You know what
guess,
I'm
probably.
saying? You know what I'm
They're in
saying?
West Virginia. Of course, somebody's punchable there.
I'm
Also-
just saying.
There's
Y'all
somebody's
can argue
mama.
about this, but a team that I consider big rivals is UAB because I've still never forgiven them for the stupid 5-second call that was called on CHD in the Conference USA tournament that kept TJ and George Fant from going to the NCAA tournament their senior year. I'm still mad about that, and I still hate UAB. So yeah,
Mars
Yep.
bars for the win, right?
Yep. Burn it, Blazers. Jake, what are you least relevant rival to most hated?
So most hated is still MTSU across the board
The Muds.
because I cannot stand. First off, Murfreesboro, get out of here. Your stadium looks like a tin can. Calm down. And also, why is it called Johnny Red? Really? Red Stadium? Really?
God knows.
Really?
God
Their colors
There's
are
no
blue.
red on your whole campus. Like, get a new nickname. But you little My Little Pony rejects. But I hate them across the board. I deplore them across the board. They're garbage, whatever. The one that I don't necessarily care about, to be honest with you guys, is Eastern.
Yeah.
At this point, now that loss in basketball a few years ago was an absolute travesty at their place, and that bothered me. But otherwise, you pound them every time you play them. They still think they're a rival to us, and historically they are. It is a very storied rivalry. I mean, the names of the schools, for goodness sake. But I just don't care. Like, I just do not care. Like, Richmond to me is a place where kids from UK go to get drunk and not get arrested and engage in God knows what. That's all Richmond will ever be to me. So for me, the one I just do not care about anymore is Eastern.
I'm going to stop you right there because I was in the student section at the home game that we had where Justin Johnson hit his very first career three-pointer. That was a last-second buzzer-beating shot to beat them, and it was one of the most hype and insane moments that I've experienced as a student in the student section at Diddle Arena. That was incredibly lit, and it was great, and I think that fueled the rivalry a little more.
Lit.
I
I know, right? Sorry, I was working with the youth this summer at a church camp. I can't help it.
Seriously, before we go and before we get out of here, that's what I want. Jared, is there a good story from the youth of Edmonson County? Well, I suppose they're from everywhere, right? They're not just from Edmonson County, surely. There's not enough youth in Edmonson County to fill out a camp, is there?
Say what?
So yeah, Jared. So Jake is wanting to hear about
A story
the
from
most
camp.
your most memorable story from your
Yeah,
church
something
camp
good.
experience this year.
From this year, oh Lord, there's so much random stuff that happens.
See, that's why I asked. I figured you'd
I'm
find
able
it.
to convince a lot of the younger campers that I'm actually like an old man, that I'm super ancient, which is great because we never say our age. We always say that we're old enough to be on staff. So, like, I would try to convince them that I'm like 40 or 50 something, and they would end up believing it, which is pretty funny. But the worst story that I have is actually from last year, is that I had somebody poop in my shower, and I will never forget that.
Calm down. Time out.
Oh my gosh!
You what? You had somebody.
No, there was a
poop in the
camper that
shower.
straight up pooped in the shower that was adjacent to where my room was.
Oh my
That
gosh!
I don't want to go into details, but it took the entire
please do.
staff to try to get that out because it smelled so bad and we were
Ugh.
just gagging the whole time. I used half a gallon of bleach cleaning that shower afterwards. I kid you not. Like, I wanted to use just a straight up full gallon of bleach, but I used an
So-
actual half a gallon of bleach cleaning that up.
Is it like bathhouses, or is it like in like dorms, or how does it? How
Okay,
how is that
the building that we were in is actually like a dorm, so it's just like, I think it's 4 beds per room, and they share a bathroom like 2 rooms do.
And so that
So,
was
yeah.
the bathroom that got the dookie log, is what you're telling me.
Basically.
Oh my god.
That has got to be the worst
See,
thing.
Hey,
Oh, no.
I will say that bleach can clean a lot of things, but it cannot clean the memories of that night. It was bad.
No,
I
it
just
can't.
want to. I'm just thinking, what did you do to this kid to make them poop in your shower?
I to this day, I still don't know who it was, and I have absolutely no idea. It was some of the younger kids, but that still doesn't justify that at all.
No.
Here's the thing. Okay, I just how? Why? How? I mean,
obviously there was not a plan to get Dookie out. I'm just saying.
No, they wrapped it up in a washcloth and everything.
What?
And left it in there.
Oh. I thought it might have been like an accident, but apparently
no, it wasn't an accident. It was no accident.
I thought maybe they tried to like stomp it through the shower.
Okay. Who wrapped it in a wash rag? The person or you guys when you were cleaning?
No, the person did. Whoever did it did. Because at first, like, I knew something smelled kind of bad, but all I saw was just like a washcloth up in the corner. Like, thank God I did not grab it with my bare hands. Like, I had the little tweezers, like the little extension arm things, whatever they're called, that old people use to get stuff off of like the top shelf.
Gophers. I use those on a mower.
Yeah, those are great, and we tried grabbing it that way, but it still didn't fully work. And the bleach didn't get rid of the memories.
I think at that point, what you have to do is just burn that cabin. Like, just burn that whole thing down and just start over.
Yeah, we'll just rebuild the bathroom.
And see, even with that experience I had last year, I still came back for another year. But thankfully, nobody pooped in my shower, and it was a really good year.
Oh my gosh.
That's good. I'm glad nobody dropped the dookie log in your shower this year, Jared.
Gosh.
I love it. That's how you judge a good summer. Nobody crapped in my shower this year.
As far as this year goes, though, we did have a bunch of sewage issues, and we don't have a backhoe, and it costs money to rent like a good one. So all of the guy staff got to dig a giant hole that was about 6 feet deep, and finally found the pipe. And busted with sewage everywhere, and having to dig that out, that was great. It happened twice. Because the buildings at Camp Joy in Brownsville, they're from the 50s, and they've had a lot of renovations. They have air conditioning. I mean, everything's nice. But, I mean, as far as, like, the actual piping of everything, it's still really old. So we got to replace that on 2 occasions, and it was rough.
That sounds like an absolute nightmare.
My gosh, I just, no. I guess I should have put a discretion on the first of the episode when we started this. But
it's fine. It's just poop jokes. It's fine.
No, right? So that's all I've got. But guys, we'll be back hopefully next week. Maybe we can get on a schedule and get back at you all and talk some more Western news. We'll know more about Matt Horton, whether the rumors are true or if they are rumors because, we can't trust the person they're coming from. But, it's just how it goes. But as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.